Hey guys, belated Merry Christmas to you. Let's get the elephant out of the room right off the bat before we get into the topic of the video. I know I have barely uploaded this month. Originally I was sick at the end of last month and into the start of this one, and then I was on vocal rest just trying to give my voice a little bit of a break so I could heal faster, which I did, but I'm like so used to the daily upload schedule that suddenly being forced out of it, I was like, honestly, it's kind of nice not being so hectic in December with the uploads. I think I'm just gonna take a little break this year and enjoy the holiday season with my family, which I did. So, I'm probably still going to do some belated Christmas uploads through January 6th, since in the Catholic religion, that's Epiphany, that's the end of the holiday season. So, I am a Catholic. I acknowledge that. So, anyway, if those aren't your thing, just skip them. But for me, they're evergreen content that, like, people come back to year after year when it is the Christmas season. So even if they don't do well initially, they always do well in the long run. So anyway, for me, they still serve a purpose, and I'm probably still going to do some Christmas artwork through the same date for the same reason before shifting into more just winter themes. Anyway, so that out of the way. The topic of the video today is Beatles fatigue. What is it? Why does it happen? What does it mean for the fandom at large? I've seen at least 4 different videos on this topic at this point, and even on the first one, I kind of wanted to throw my hat in the ring, but I was hesitant. I was like, is this going to be a bad look if I do it? But Matthew Street did one, and Joe Mayo did one, so I was like, you know what? I even commented on Joe's. I was like, I was thinking about doing one, but I wasn't sure if I'd get raked over the coals for it. He said, no, we need a BB take. I'm like, okay, we're doing it. We're doing it. So, I've noticed Beatle fatigue takes a couple of forms. There's the more extreme one that I feel like we see more pervasively across social media, where people make it their whole damn personality, and honestly, I can't stand those people. It's the people who, at one point in their life, were actually really big Beatle fans, but they went way too hard all at once. They burned themselves out so bad that if they never heard another Beatles song in their life, it would still be too soon for them. I can't relate to that, and honestly, the people who, like, they hit that, and then they act like the Beatles were just some overblown fad, this, that, and the other, and they think it's, like, it makes them cool or something to just shit on them. Can't stand those people. I really try to avoid those people, because I can't fucking stand them. But the much more sneaky kind of Beatles fatigue that I feel like we don't usually talk about as much, but I'm kind of glad that we are right now, is the kind where you are a huge fan, but you hit burnout the same way, but it's not so permanent. So, in my instance, I've lived this quite a few cycles over, since, I mean, like, growing up, basically, all I listened to for a lot of years were the Beatles, before finally branching out, and God, I'm glad I did, but it doesn't mean I love them any less. In the times where I take a break, it just means I take a break. I've never had a fandom where I've ever just lost interest because I gained others. I always eventually come back to them, and I think that's actually pretty common, and from what I've seen in the fandom spaces, a lot of people are in the same boat, because let's be real here. The Beatles thing happened 60 years ago at this point. There was only an 8-year span where they were making music. There's only like a few hundred songs in there. There's only so many ways you can repackage those songs and reorder them and hear them over and over before, you know, admittedly, you kind of do start to hit a burnout with it. And if you're not careful, it would probably be really easy to get permanently burned out on them. I don't want to ever hit that kind of a point. So I just instinctively have always pulled back when I start noticing. I'm like, I'm kind of tired of that one. I'm just going to skip it. It's as easy. Okay, so just don't listen to it for a while. And eventually the enthusiasm for it comes back. I promise you it comes back, but you do have to know when to step away and listen to something else for a while. I mean, there are certain songs where it took a long time to be able to hear them again, because, like, the radio would overplay them to freaking death. Like, out here personally, I don't know why Penny Lane was so heavily played in, like, the 90s and early 2000s. Holy shit, it took me almost another 20 years to be able to listen to it again and enjoy it. Like, I can listen to it now and like it, but there was a lot of years where that was an insta-skip song for me. Love Me Do kind of still is, if I'm being honest. I feel bad saying it. I don't hate it, but it's just like, I won't go out of my way on my own volition to listen to that one. But, like, I prefer the deeper dive tracks, even though it's like, the Beatles are so just pervasively across all pop culture that even, like, the deeper dive tracks are still pretty well known. But, like, the ones that don't really get the airplay, those are the ones I tend to gravitate more towards a lot of the time because of exactly that. We haven't heard them as many times, so they're still fresher. But sometimes I'll still go through and listen to, like, a full album sequentially and be fine with it. But I can't do it all the time. And I think that's normal, and I think that's healthy. And it seems like a lot of us are in the same boat, but we're all too scared to admit it because we don't want to look like less of a fan for just acknowledging a very basic truth that I think we all kind of, at some point or another, experience. It doesn't have to be a permanent destination. Like, you can take a break from it, step back for months, years if it takes you years. I mean, I've known people where they had to step away for years before they came back to it. It's never lasted that long for me. Like, it might be months, usually. So, you do that, you listen to other stuff. Might be similar genres, might be completely, totally different. Like, I mean, for me personally, this year, I think a lot of last year too, have been, like, really heavily in rotation with my pop girlies from, like, just modern day stuff or, like, early 2000s. That's okay. That's fine. Or, like, I'll go on, like, a glam rock bender. That's fine, too. Or I'll go down, like, my musical theater route. That's okay, too. It keeps everything fresher that way to keep a wider rotation. I know not everybody is as musically versatile in as many different directions. That's okay. That's okay. But I think it's a dangerous game to, like, really pigeonhole yourself into only one genre, only one era, because you will eventually run out of stuff. You will eventually hit burnout, and then you're going to be questioning your life choices of, oh my god, am I having an existential crisis? I feel like I'm not enjoying anything anymore. Is this depression? And it might be. It might be. But it might just be that you hit burnout for a while, and you need to listen to something else, and then return to it. It's totally okay. There's no rules. It's fine. But I think it is one of those things where we're all scared of the potential judgment of just admitting that. You know? I mean, I was really hesitant to want to for that same reason, but I'm just like, I think the more we talk about it and acknowledge it, I think it makes it more okay to acknowledge when we're in a space like that. I'm in a much more subtle form of it right now, where it's like there's certain eras where I am on heavy burnout, where I'm like, I'm just gonna avoid that era for right now. I'll come back to it eventually, but for right now, I'm skipping this year to this year, with the exception of, like, these 3 songs over here from that era. Just like, nah, I'm good. I've hit my fill for right now, and I'm gonna listen to some other stuff instead. Totally fine. What I find interesting is that the Beatles solo years, I don't really hit that same kind of burnout with, but I'm not all in on just one of them. And I think that helps. Like, even with solo McCartney, there's such a wide array from start to current day and everything in between that it doesn't have that samey feel across the board. It keeps it much more varied. I really don't hit burnout with his solo stuff. John's solo stuff I have sometimes hit burnout with, but I mean, to be fair, I've also had a much more limited scope of what John stuff I actually know. So I mean, I think once I, like, discovered the rest of the solo albums, that'll help with that, but, like, I'd still need to delve into the rest. Same goes for George. I'm finally starting to give George a chance, and I've enjoyed it thoroughly. Ringo, same thing, where it's just like, with him, his is a lot more same feeling across the board, so it's like, I'll go all in on Ringo for a while, and then I have to step back. And then I always come back to it eventually, but it's like, if you have all 4 of the solos in rotation, though, you don't hit that same kind of burnout. But because there's such a much more limited scope of what there even is with the Beatle years, it makes it harder to do that. But if you have them in rotation amongst a ton of other stuff with it, like, this is part of why I love Spotify, because it'll curate, like, daily playlists. He'll throw in like a handful of Beatles songs amidst a ton of other artists. I'm like, okay, format like that, that's great. I have no qualms with that. That's fantastic. Love that. It does sometimes have a tendency to try to lean towards the same ones over and over, and then I might skip if it's like that for a while, and eventually it takes the memo and gives me something else, but I think it's okay. I don't think it's a sign that the fandom's dying out at all, because if you look places like Twitter or like TikTok, places where it's much more populated by the younger Beatle fans who are still brand new to it, they all have that spark, that enthusiasm, that joy, that newness to it, where it's just like, nah, this fandom's gonna be fine, no matter what. There's always new people finding it. It's gonna be fine. Because I had a moment of worry in there, where I was thinking about the Elvis fandom and how it had been put on such a pedestal for so many decades, and just like overnight, it feels like it jumped over a cliff, and it's been downhill ever since, and people act like, oh, Elvis, yeah, we're over Elvis. I'm like, what? What do you mean you're over Elvis? What? But then you kind of just look at pop culture in general, and it's like, he gets dismissed a lot now. And I was like, oh god, are the Beatles next and they're just a decade behind? I don't think so. In my heart of hearts, I don't believe that at all. But I think it is healthy to be real with yourself about it, and to take the breaks as you need them and come back as, you've had that space away. Because, yeah, I think Joe put it best when he said, absence makes the heart grow fonder. Sometimes you definitely need to do that, because otherwise it will grow stale, and you don't want that. Now, that said, everybody's different, and what all it encompasses you taking a break from may look different from person to person. So, like, you might step away from the music itself, like the albums, but you might still be totally fine reading books about them, watching documentaries about them, which naturally you'll probably still have music in it, but it's different because it's framed differently. So it makes it more interesting in that light. They might still watch, like, the Beatles theme channels. Some people might not. Like I said, it'll look different for everybody of which things you feel like you're burned out on and want to take a break from. You do you. Just whatever feels right to you in the moment, go with that. And just trust your gut instincts, because odds are you will come back to it eventually. And you'll have had a nice little vacation away from it, like I had a nice little vacation away from YouTube, and come back and now, look at that, now I have the enthusiasm for it again. I don't feel so burned out. I think it's healthy. Not just with the Beatles, but just in life in general with stuff, where if something's starting to feel stale to you, step back, do something else with your time for a while, and then return to it. It's as simple as that. I don't think it has to be real deep, it doesn't have to be scary, it doesn't have to be shameful. I think you just need to approach things in a balanced way, because if all you are consuming is just one band all the time and nothing else, I guarantee you will eventually get sick of that one thing, because there's only so far your mind can go with it before it's like, please, for the love of God, feed me something else. Because, let me frame it this way for you. If you ate only one food, or like one genre of food that have like one specific ingredient in all of the things all day, every day, you would eventually burn out on that, would you not? Of course you would. Why would music be any different? They call it taste for a reason. So, I'm just saying, it's no different. So, vary it up. Have more things in your life than just the one. Because, yeah, you cannot go all in on only the one unless you want a perfect recipe for learning to hate that thing eventually. So, those are my 2 cents. Take them or leave them.